Open the doors of the sanctuary for the people to come and rejoice. Enter into the fellowship of those who celebrate life with its warmth and beauty, its pain and its healing. Come to the temple of delight for a season of simple pleasure. Come in imagery to behold the bright mystical star, to hear echoes of voices ethereal far away. Take counsel here of legendary love, the wisdom of poetry and myth. Join together, one and all, in the spirit to Christmas tide, to stir into hope the vision of trust and justice over all the world, that peace and goodwill may bless and keep us in every generation.
Let's go ahead and sing. I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches, not only green when summer's here, but in the coldest time of year. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. When winter days are dark and drear, you bring us hope for all the year. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. You bid us true and faithful be, and trust in God unchangingly. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches.
So welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Nathan. I am pleased to welcome you today. Online, we are glad you are here with us as well. If online people you can't see as well, don't worry. The person in our sound booth after the Advent lighting is going to zoom in on you, so you're okay. Here are the things you need to know. Can y'all hear okay? Is this okay? Good. Here are the things you need to know, because this is a busy first Sunday of Advent. It was not last week, by the way. It's this week, because Christmas Eve is on a Sunday, which is tricky. All right, here we go. At 4 o'clock today is a Christmas tree decorating party. Kathy, if I am an adult without a child, can I come?
Please.
Should I come?
Yes.
Yes, I can come. Please, yes, I should come. That means all of you, whether you are with child or without child, can be here 4 to 6 tonight. Next, there is a thing we do with the Interfaith Federation where we provide presents for kids who do not have access to presents. The problem is you all took all the kids last week, so we're out of things for you to sign up for because someone grabbed the last kid sign up this morning. However, we did some wrangling, and if you would like to sign up to give sandwiches, cookies, or juice boxes, there is still opportunity available. Online also, we can be the church of sandwiches and juice boxes if you want. So you can sign up for that or email me, or if you know Mary Ellen's email her. Also, today is the blood drive. If you are wanting to have less blood in your body to make more later to save a life, you can do that today for this church. You just go right out there and they do their weird blood magic. And I actually didn't mean to say that. I just mean they test you and do all the things that they... Okay, I'm going to move on. Just go out there. One last thing. Aaron, would you come up? So we have a generosity team. And the problem UU churches have, often with when we try to talk about money, because the pledge drive, also if you've not turned in your pledge, please do it. Because the pledge drive takes up so much of the emotional and logistical energy, often a generosity team winds up just fundraising for the church. We put together a fundraising team with a different goal in mind. Yes, they're going to do all of the things to help us make sure this church is sustainable. But also the goal is to make it so that every member of this church, if they want, cannot be in debt, can have the tools to have as much money as our systems allow. And so one of the things we're doing today during middle hour, Aaron Sheehan-Dean, you are a professor at LSU, or is there a fancier title?
It's true. Historian. I don't know if that's fancy
Historian professor at LSU. He has agreed to be a part of the generosity team whose entire job is to look at education and sort of cultural shift. And so we're testing this out. So what is going to happen during middle hour?
So there will be a workshop on household budgeting today. So anyone that is, I'm not running it, is important to say. You don't want the historian doing money stuff. But we have somebody qualified to talk about how to set up a household budget, the sort of categories, the ways to organize. So if you save or spend money, please come. Bring questions as well. We can redo this and tailor it to the kinds of issues that people have. And I would say also, if I have a minute, in the future, if there are issues that you think would be useful to have workshops on, like how to obtain a mortgage and buy a home, or how to establish college savings plans, or how to manage your finances beyond just household budgeting, we can also hold workshops on that. So the idea is that we're going to try to deliver instructional content in ways that meet the needs of the congregants.
So if I rent and don't own, can I come?
Please.
If I do have kids, can I come?
Please.
If I don't have kids, can I come?
Perfect.
Can I get a spreadsheet at the end of it?
Yes, there will be templates that we will email to all the participants. There will be handouts. The template is great in Excel with formulas already built in. So even if you already know how your family's budget is organized, it might be useful to see how this one is put together.
So what you are saying is, if you come, you can get a spreadsheet.
That's true. Yeah,
all right.
That's the bonus.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If you already have spreadsheets, there's also, I'm actually really excited about this class, but there's two other classes we're doing at the same time. One is a meet and greet with Reverend Chris. If you would like to greet or meet him, he will be in room 6. So budgeting is room 5, which is far the way back there. 6 is right there. And then 7 is the social justice team subgroup on climate justice. So if you like 2 of the 3 of those things, I'm sorry, you have to pick one. That is it. We are so glad that you were here with us today. Yeah. So we're going to shift more into the worshipful part. And we are entering a time of the year where this part of the earth gets colder, greener gets a little harder to come by, and light gets a little less and less. The Advent wreath is one remedy to this natural tendency. When the world makes it more difficult, this church is here to make things a little easier. Each week leading up to Christmas, we will light one more candle. This Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent, and so we light our first candle, the candle of hope. If hope feels distant or hard to find, may you find more hope in your life, and may you find more hope in the world. And actually, would you join me in a moment of prayer? The God that we know when we see love and hope and kindness and justice, be with us on this day. And hold all those in this space, both in person and wherever people are gathered. Help us to know that we are part of something larger. Help us to hold all those who have left us this Christmas or Christmas past. Help hold all those who are longing for hope, longing for justice, wish for a more kind, more loving world. Let this season be the one that brings about more joy and more hope and more peace. Let hearts be healed. Let us be together knowing the world can be better than it is. Amen.
The stone stirring ritual here at the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge is a time in our service where we take pause take pause to come forth and share stones as we honor the joys and sorrows of our lives with this community. Visitors, as always, are welcome to join in this ritual. Those who gather each week are invited to sign cards for members of the congregation at our congregational caring team that's out the table out in our reception area. Today we will have one card just to sign for our member, Noah Shaw, for thoughts of ease and continued healing with some of the medical issues that continue to persist with him. Those who would like to take part in this ritual, please do come forth, lining up on the east or west walls of the sanctuary, or if the middle aisle is more accessible for you, please join us in our sharing of stones ritual. Let us say together our chalice lighting words. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
Christmas was a season of misrule, a time when ordinary behavior restraints could be violated with impunity. It was part of what one historian has called the world of carnival. Misrule meant that not only hunger, but also anger and lust could be expressed in public. Often people blackened their faces or disguised themselves as animals, were cross-dressed, thus operating under the protective cloak of anonymity. The Puritans understood much of the seasonal excess that took place at Christmas was not merely chaotic disorder, but behavior that took a profoundly ritualized form. Most fundamentally, Christmas was an occasion when the social hierarchy itself was symbolically turned upside down. In a gesture that inverted designated roles of gender, age, and class. During the Christmas season, those near the bottom of the social order acted high and mighty.
Did y'all know that? It's very Mardi Gras-esque, isn't it? So I would like you to picture those stark New England winters back in the 17 and 1800s. White people who descended from the Puritans gathered in their parish churches. There was one church in every town, and they were usually called like the First Parish Church of Concord or Lexington or Boston. These early Puritans did not gather on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. They didn't recognize these as holidays. Also, it just occurred to me, the person who is up here, Aaron, is a historian who specializes in the Transcendentalists, so he's going to call me out later, respectfully, based on how wrong I am. So, online people, you're not going to be able to tell this. In-person people, look at him, and if he shakes his head no, I got something wrong, and I'll fix it in real time. The Puritans did not celebrate Christmas because it was some weird pagan or Catholic thing. And the Puritans came to America so that they could worship in a much more rigid, from their vantage point, pure theological state. They wanted their church to not be corrupted by money or papal hierarchies that were in both the Catholic Church and the Church of England. They wanted covenantal churches that evolved out of their understanding and reading of the Bible, not of religious tradition. And because of this, they didn't make space for such dangerous religious observations as Christmas. Over time, many of these churches would evolve and become Unitarian churches. And remember that Unitarians and Universalists did not merge until 1961. So we're talking churches that would theologically evolve to be Unitarian churches. The Universalist churches, which were founded as Universalist churches, they recognized Christmas a little more. So all of their building dedications, their ordinations, whenever they installed a minister, they did that on Christmas Day. So imagine how revolutionary it was in the 1800s for these white New Englanders who are now starting to identify themselves as Unitarians, which meant theologically that they believed reason, science, and doubt, and that the humanity of Jesus, all of these were important components of the religious life of a church-going person. And these worshipers in churches that their great-great-grandparents left England for so that they could have a more pure, more austere, less idolatrous religion. Imagine that some of these ministers and some of these congregants started bringing Christmas, that dangerous holiday we just heard about, where people dressed in costumes. They actually, part of the stuff I cut out was they would break into people's homes and steal their stuff and all kinds of foolishness. But imagine that our Unitarian ancestors started bringing that ritual back into these austere churches. The Christmas tree was brought in to America, into the homes by a Unitarian. Many of our carols that we know today were written by Unitarians. Picture how radical it was for a society that valued collective assimilation, austere rule, to have these people turn to religious traditions that were so heavily Catholic and so heavily pagan, and so much associated with what we in Louisiana think of as Mardi Gras chaos. But our religious ancestors looked at the austere heritage and decided that it was time to celebrate among the despair. And so picture what we are going to do here together this season. At a time where I have heard more people than I have ever heard, who I would consider sort of reasonably grounded, questioning whether or not we are going to have a democracy going forward, questioning whether or not our environment is going to be suitable for our children and grandchildren to even live in. At a time where we are threatened by the state in ways that I would have never thought, at times where our neighboring parish was, 160 votes away from killing all of their libraries out of fear of trans children. And yet here we are gathered in the footsteps of people who saw austerity and decided to bring decoration on top of it. They decided to bring trees into their homes. They decided, they took the stark and made it bright. Our old Universalists took churches that were undedicated and made them dedicated. They're unordained and made them ordained. We take barren chancels, these places that you built so that you can have a place to ponder the most high, most elusive, the most worthy ideals. These places that in our faith tradition are usually devoid of imagery, and we fill it with stuff. All of this is to say, we come together this year to take that which may feel barren and make it abounding with hope and with joy and with love and with light and with peace. So here's what we're going to do today. This being the first Sunday of Advent, this Sunday's theme is hope. I've called this service Hope Abounds, but between us and us, there's so much stuff we have to do today, we're just going to be lucky that hope shows up in the theme. In a few minutes, we're going to have a child dedication. We do these now twice a year in in May or June, depending on the calendar, and then again in Christmas time. We have 7 children to dedicate, ranging in ages from 1 to 17, including one of my own. This is a dedication that I have personally been waiting for since before the shutdown, but for a number of reasons that we've tread through 1,000 times, it couldn't happen for me and my family until now. I will not be officiating this dedication. During the hymn before that, I will take off my stole and go become a family in this church dedicating their child. But this dedication we intentionally put during Christmas time because we as a religious people are celebrating the fact that new life and new generations who will inherit our world, who are already engaged in creating our world. We are celebrating the birth and the coming of hope, the coming of changes, the future with all kinds of great potential. And this church is celebrating that we can help make that manifest. Then we will have a blessing for Kathy, who is, she's our director of family ministry, and she's going to go on a 5-month sabbatical. And then we'll close up with talking about what's coming up and how we will find more hope this season.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. Christmas is the most authentic of all Unitarian Universalist holidays. Y'all hear folks talk about Christmas as authentically as ours because our ancestors were responsible for bringing the Christmas tree to America, or that Charles Dickens was a Unitarian, or even that a Unitarian wrote Jingle Bells, all true. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say that Christmas is a Unitarian Universalist holiday because of Jesus. Christmas is a holiday that celebrates the incarnation, humanity as God with skin on. Unitarians throughout history remind us again and again of 2 things. 1, that God is God, and 2, that the fact that Jesus was not fully God is important. Jesus was born to tell us that we are the ones we have been waiting for. Proof that we humans can do God stuff. The Messiah is among us, born in human form again and again, revealed into the most unlikely of places, like a manger or a jail cell. That God's kingdom is inside us, among us, beneath our feet, that we are responsible for making it so. And Universalists remind us that God is love. This revelation demands that we sing about it and that we do something about it, helping, saving, repairing, and caring. And this is a Unitarian Universalist holiday because whether or not you believe in a supernatural God or a godly Jesus or that God's banner over us is love, we Unitarian Universalists are humanist, and Jesus was the ultimate humanist. Jesus believed in the human capacity to love the hell out of this world. And if we truly believe that we are alone down here, then we better get at it, because no big man in the sky gonna do it for us. I invite you to rise and rise in body or spirit to sing our next carol. Thank you.
Let Christmas come, its story told, when days are short and winds are cold. Let Christmas come, its lovely song, when evening soon and night is long. Let Christmas come, its great star glow, a quiet city sleeps below. Let Christmas come, its starlight beam, love born again, a quiet dream. Let Christmas come, grant us its peace. When night is dim, our light increase. Let Christmas come, the light now sings and shares the joy the seasons bring.
We are now preparing our hearts and minds for today's child dedication. We are truly grateful to continue to engage this important ritual in the life of this church. What makes this, can you please turn the mic down a little bit? Thank you. What makes this child dedication unique are children and families that have chosen to dedicate their children on this day, December 3rd, 2023. We have parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, granduncles, and chosen family with us here in the sanctuary, and those watching us online, we welcome you as well. Some from as close as here in Baton Rouge, other parts of the state of Louisiana, and as far away as Madison, Wisconsin, joining us today. All right, Madison's in the house, thus making it a truly unique and special service. From the beginning of time, families have brought their children to worshiping communities for dedication. In the presence of the congregation, children have been given names and parents have declared their responsibilities for them. That's right, baby. Tell us what you're gonna. In this modern world where people often move from one place to another, we extend our dedication ceremonies not just to infants, but to families with older children and youth in our community.
And I will just say, I am always delighted to hear noises from everyone in the community. That is what a community is. Amen?
Amen.
For whether the children are with us from the time they are infants or if they join us when they are older, in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, rather than dedicate the child to the faith, we dedicate ourselves to the child and to the family. This ceremony publicly affirms that all of us, the parents, family members, and friends of the child, and the gathered congregation as representatives of this specific religious community, share in the responsibility for the care and development of all children and all youth. On their behalf, it is our task to strive for a world of peace and justice in which they may grow. It is our task to help them understand our ideals and hopes and to help them find and express their own.
Will the parents, children, and others participating in this morning's ceremony please come forward and join us here on the chancel? For both services today, I will share the names of all of the children for today's dedication, aware that some will be in this service and others will be taking part in our second service.
Come on up.
And join us on the chancel here to my right. The names of the children are Eva and Hannah Schutz, Viola Ryan, Xavier Hazelton, Angelina Culata, Jaden Klutz, Wyatt Hardigree Meadows, and Sawyer Rodrigue.
Yes. So, Schutz family on the end. Reverend Chris will give you the mic, and I will ask you, what is the name that you have given this child?
Hannah Schutz.
And Evangeline Schutz.
Angelina Colada.
Angelina Colada.
What is the name?
Xavier Hazeltine.
Xavier Hazeltine. Yeah. I wanted to add an extra note. We also acknowledge your parents' gratitude to your family, the grandparents Gregory, Francois, and Linda, and your godparents Kendra, Toussaint, and Christopher Ziegler. Yes, thank you. What is the name, the full name that you've given this child?
Viola Josephine Ryan.
Nameless. You come into the world, but now you are known by your full names, stated here for all to hear. May you live your life so that as you grow old, all who look upon your name will find it good.
It is our hope that you will bear your name with pride and that you will bring joy and honor to your name. It is our hope that you will be nurtured in affection and tutored in wisdom, and that you will find your place among those who are dedicated to the transformation of the world into a community of peace and compassion and generosity of spirit.
To you, the parents, is given the awesome privilege and responsibility to be givers and shapers of these growing children and youth. Before you is the challenge of their questioning minds, their unfolding wonder of their selfhood, and their responses to the world around them. Will you respond to that challenge with the best that is in you, seeking not to make your children just like you, but rather to help them become themselves and find their own ways? If so, will you please say, "We will"? We will.
We offer this symbol of our dedication, a budding rose, a symbol of the unfolding life before you in all of its strength, its grace, its possibility. We have removed the thorns in hopes that your lives will be filled with as few thorns as possible, and that you will always be surrounded by loving people who will help you when there are thorns. We also offer a certificate of dedication, so you will remember this day.
I now invite the families to step into the center of the sanctuary with me. Come on in, come on in. I offer this prayer of blessing. Will all gathered join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation as I offer this prayer of blessing? Spirit of life, all that is holy, today we dedicate these children and youth to the care of this beloved community. We pray blessings upon them and their families as they and we continue to navigate this beautiful, even in the chaos world together. May it be so, and amen.
The children and adults who currently participate in or who have ever been a part of our religious education program for children and youth. If you have ever been a part of this, please stand as you are willing and able and turn towards these families. Will you make a place for these children and youth as they grow, welcoming them and supporting them as members of the community? If you will, please say, "We will."
Will the adult members of the congregation and those who are willing to commit to their continued flourishing, please rise in body or spirit and turn towards these families. It is the responsibility of the congregation to provide for the religious growth and nurturing of all the children and youth in our community. Will you delight in their accomplishments, share in their tears and cries and sorrows, and encourage them as they grow into adulthood? And will you now welcome them and pledge to their families your wholehearted support and hospitalities? If so, say, "We will."
May these children and youth whom we have dedicated today receive abundantly the blessings of love, health, knowledge, and wisdom. May this celebration work its miracle on our own hearts so that we may mold our lives more and more in accordance with the beauty, truth, goodness, and love which we hope for them. In their names may all of us find joy, and by their being may generations to come be blessed. For the love of all people, may it be so. Amen.
Let's
Ashe.
give a round of applause and welcome these dedicated children. Invite you to remain right in your position so we can have our next carol. You may go back to your seats. Yes. Thank you. Why didn't you want it? It's up to you.
Un flambeau, Jeannette Isabella, un flambeau, courant un berceau. C'est Jésus bon aujourd'hui à mort, au créé né, Marie appelle, quel amour est belle, quel enfant est beau. Bring the torch, Jeannette Isabella. Bring the torch and quickly run. Christ is born, good folk of the village. Christ is born, and Mary's calling. Beautiful is the mother. Beautiful is her child. Come and see within the stable. Come and see the Holy One. Come and see the lovely Jesus. Brown, his cheeks are rosy. Hush, hush, quietly now he slumbers. Hush, hush, quietly now he sleeps. Skies are glow, the heavens are cloudless, bright the path, the manger bed. Hasten all who would see little Jesus shining bright as yonder star. Beautiful is the mother. Beautiful is her child.
This church is a generous church. One of the many ways we are generous and with humility is that we share 1/2 of our monthly offerings with a local organization that is extending our mission and vision into the community. This month, our collected offering will be shared with the Louisiana Parole Project. From its website, the Louisiana Parole Project is both a human service provider and an advocacy organization, and our work is leading the way to shift policies and public perception about people serving life without parole and other extreme sentences. We support individuals who have served 20 years or more in prison, advocating for their release through existing parole and clemency processes. We support our clients by providing advocacy and direct representation while incarcerated and transitional housing services and programming upon their release. Based on our client's successes, Parole Project is proving the case that giving second chances to people who have served long sentences improves public safety. Visitors, please feel no obligation to give. We at this church are building on our financial giving as a spiritual practice, extending our values into the community in yet another way. This morning's offering will be humbly accepted and shared in the same spirit. Please give as generously as you can. Will the ushers please come forward?
Online people, you may not be able to see, but there is more rows on the floor than there are in any of the children's hands now. Because this is my only content, and is this one a little low for y'all? Are you okay? Or up a little? Up a little, Robin, on this one. Perfect. Because this is my only content Sunday, and the next Sunday is Reverend Chris's only content Sunday for Advent, because following that is the pageant, and then solstice, and then Christmas Eve morning, and then Christmas Eve evening, and then we're going to have a Kwanzaa service here on the 31st. In no particular order, I wanted to share some of the things that I wanted you to know about Christmas in this church. Think of this as sort of your UU guide to Advent. One, in my view, Christmas is one of the most Unitarian Universalist holidays. Remember that after Jesus was born, there were a group of people going all the way back to the beginning who said that Jesus was human. Technically, in I think it was Greek, the difference is of similar substance or of same substance of God, and that's what the whole fight in the Council of Nicaea was over. But anyway, so they lost the vote in 325 at the Council of Nicaea, but they showed back up with a vengeance during the Protestant Reformation. For as long as Jesus has existed, there have been Unitarians by many different names who said it was important that he was not entirely God, because then we all have access to that same type of divinity. Also, because Jesus never talked about hell, we have Universalists who go all the way back to the time of Jesus. These are people who said that there is no such thing as an angry, punishing God, and that no one will ever be punished forever for being finite human beings. Without Jesus, there is no Unitarianism and there is no Universalism. Also, remember that Jesus was born Jesus of Nazareth. He was not born Christ. Christ is a label that we gave him after his death. So there is an important distinction between a holiday celebrating the birth of Jesus and the birth of Christ. Does that make sense? The birth of someone, for me, it's the birth of a child, the birth of someone who would give hope to literally billions of people. Who would prioritize those on the margins, those who seek justice, those who deserve a voice, more than the status quo or the state. So for me as a Unitarian Universalist minister, I see this season as the birth of a person, the birth of hope, the birth of a new day, and the birth of potential that all of us have access to. For me, the celebration of hope abounding, the celebration that we did today as each child was dedicated, the celebration of you, not just the day you were born, but today, is the celebration that there is no such thing as too much sadness that can stifle human goodness. That is something that we should celebrate every year. Another thing to know about this is that I think that everyone is born on the happy side of Christmas. And after enough disappointments or deaths or estrangements or logistical failures, at some point for many people, Christmas shifts from being a happy Christmas to a sad Christmas. And every gathered sanctuary, we have some people on the happy Christmas side, some kind of dancing on the line, and some who've moved over into sad Christmas. And we can use the trees and the lights and the presents and the pageantry to stifle those who live in the sad Christmas, to tell them, you should not be feeling sad. Look at all of these things you should be happy about. Or we can use the trees and the lights and the pageantry and all of the celebrations as a way to lift up sort of a life preserver to someone floating out in the ocean right now. The image I hope you're taking away from today is the idea that we had a stark sanctuary and that we filled it with things. We had a stark world and we are filling it with hope. We have the life as it was and then the life that we are making more beautiful. In one of the realities of Christmas, I'm going to try and tie it together this way, Kathy. From stark to decorated, or from overworked to restored. Because today we are also celebrating that for the first time in 6 years, tomorrow, we will be without a director of family ministry, not on payroll, but in the office. You see, it has been 6 years that you have been with us. We are telling Kathy goodbye for a few months, and that is okay, and that we will miss her, because she is going to go on a sabbatical. So I wanted to take a few, kind of walk you through the things that you all have experienced since Kathy has been here. So we brought Kathy in, and the way it works is for ministers and religious educators, for every year of service, you accrue a month of sabbatical, which is logistical stuff that is not super interesting to you, but you can't go over 7 months of sabbatical, so it's time. We hired her in 2017. That was 1 year after our awful summer. And we told her, instead of just a traditional director of religious education, where we wanted to expand the program not just to educate our children, but to really serve families and minister to families in all of the ways that they need. And bear in mind, family is not just adults with child-aged children. Family is a much broader, more ambiguous term. So we brought her in, and at first we said, well, just observe. See what this church's culture is like. See what it's like. Give it about a good year before you start implementing any of these changes. And she gave it 5 months, and then our then senior minister announced he would retire. So a long-term ministry is not a time for you to start making a bunch of changes, like a retirement. Steve didn't get that memo. So what we did is we did construction on the sanctuary. 1 year into your service here, we had a Visqueen wall, and we were all worshiping on that side. Who remembers that very interesting time? We were worshiping on the back half of the sanctuary. And then after he left, we had not one, not two, but 3 interim ministers. Not the best time to make changes. Then in the middle of the second interim's ministry, we had the shutdown, which, all of that. Not the best time to make changes except for what we were forced to make. And then as soon as we reopened, we closed, and then we reopened again. And then we started having Sunday school for all ages, but we still weren't doing it inside, so we're doing it outside. So we asked Kathy to shift from doing family ministry by sending postcards to people at their homes, which she invented, and sending care packets. She actually created an entire team of people who would take little packets and deliver to every home of every child in this church. Who here had delivered those or received those? So she coordinated all of that. And then, as soon as we reopened, she had to also figure out how to make middle hour classes happen outside, and then middle hour classes happen inside. And then kids 5 and under got access to the vaccine. And so then we also had to have nursery care, which meant some of the nursery workers who were here had left because it was like 4 years ago, and some were still here, and then we had to hire some. And then, as soon as all that was settled, we brought in a new minister, and we had to get him onboarded and settled, which is all of this to say that the thing we asked her to do 6 years ago we have not yet had a chance to do. Now, we've done it, but not because we said, Kathy, we want you to go be calm, reflective, and spend some time just sitting and thinking. We did it by throwing fire at her constantly. And not our fault necessarily. The world did it. When we hired you, we didn't say the world's going to shut down. Good luck. So while this is Kathy's story to say, I am betting she is exhausted. And this sabbatical is a time for her to reset, to refill, and to figure out who she needs to be and who we need her to be for this next chapter in our church's life. Also, as a person who hates attention and just got back from a sabbatical, it is so good to actually say all of this stuff about someone else's sabbatical, because I don't want anyone saying it about me. So the expectation is not that Kathy goes and creates things to bring back to us. Instead, is that she takes a break from serving us for so long. She takes a break so that she can figure out who she needs to be and what we need her to be as we move forward in our next chapter. Does that make sense? This is a kind of reset for her and for us going forward. One where we're not throwing 1,000 bizarre things at you and her, not because we wanted to, but because the world demanded it. Remember, the Christmas theme is taking something stark and adding color to it. In this case, we are blessing Kathy as she goes from stressed, doing all of the work we needed her to do, and we're going to take about 5 months and shifting her from stark or overworked into rested and refreshed and ready for us to go with this next chapter. We're going to bring the Christmas tree into her life, one that will allow her to have time and to focus and to be with her family. So with that, I'm going to switch over to here. Do you want the pulpit, Kathy? Sure. All right, Kathy will be at the pulpit. We'll be on the other side.
I like that. The one who is not talking gets the pulpit mic.
So here's how we're going to do it. Will you join me in a litany blessing of Kathy? If you agree, say we will. Will you offer Kathy your blessing as she spends a few months rebuilding and renewing?
Will you agree to help run the family ministries of the church while she is gone?
Will you remember that Unitarian Universalism never comes from the staff or the ministers, it always comes from the people?
Will you promise not, I said not, to contact Kathy while she is away? I didn't hear anybody say we will.
Do you promise if you do contact her and she doesn't respond, you will not take it personally?
And do you agree to welcome her
Wait,
back?
no, that wasn't my one. I added that one because I thought that they needed to do that one. Do you promise that if you see her out in the wild, that you will ask her about her life, tell her about yours, but not ask her about church?
Again, do you agree to welcome her back in May when she returns?
And do you agree to bless her and give her the tools we all need for this family ministry program to thrive?
And really, the only thing there is to say is thank you so much for the blessing. I'm looking at the faces. I am going to miss each and every one of you, and I will so look forward to being back in May. Thank you.
So as a minister who hates attention, which I know I'm talking to my therapist about, I respect that you also dislike attention, and thank you for putting up with that. For our final part of this service, I wanted to give you a cliff notes of what you're going to experience in this church the rest of the season. Next week, the second week of Advent, Reverend Chris will reflect on peace. The following Sunday will be our impromptu pageant. If you have not been, I would encourage you to go. You, the people, will dress up as all of the parts. You should know that the Gospel of Mark has no nativity scene. The Gospel of Luke has 3 people. Those are shepherds. The Gospel of Matthew has 3 people. Those are magi. They never interact. But we have decided, both for the good of the season and because we're not going to rewrite a whole pageant, we're mushing all of the story together. But Luke and Matthew disagree, and Mark didn't even bother writing any of it. So you should know that going into the pageant. Then on the 21st, we're going to have our annual winter solstice service. This will be at 7 p.m. at night. It will be streamed. All of these services will be streamed online. While it is appropriate for families, there will be a lot of silence, a lot of drumming, a lot of reflection, and there will be a lot of candle lighting. The basic theology on the longest night is that we who gather can bring enough light for us to see and for us to be warm. Also, another thing for you to remember, it is not hard because it is Christmas. We put Christmas here because it is hard. So if you are struggling, remember that is why we stuck Christmas here. Also, throughout this whole season, we're going to be very careful to remember that dark and light are both parts of living. One is not good, one is not bad. And we're going to remember that our country has racialized dark to mean bad and light to mean good. And you need night and you need day. Each serve their function in the world, and it is unethical and religious malpractice to assign cultures to dark or to light. Then, you're welcome to, the pagan in the back clap for that. We have more, they just didn't clap. Then we have a quandary on Christmas Eve. I've looked it up. This does not happen to us for another 10 years. So we're good for a long time, but Christmas Eve is on a Sunday. So what do we do? We're going to do 4 services, but we're going to save our energy for the evening services. Those are at 5:30 and at 7:30. It's going to be the same services you've come to expect. We're going to vary the music just for logistical reasons, but come to the one that fits for your family. We're going to have the senior youth retell the story of the birth of Jesus, just as we have done in this church for decades and decades and decades. But in the morning, what do? We don't have the energy to make another service. So here's what we're going to do. We've invited 5 members of the Preacher Pack to come back. That Sunday on Advent is love. So we're calling it Ornamental Love, and we have picked, we've asked each of them to pick one ornament from their tree that reminds them of the love of the season, and they will offer you a reflection on that. And because we're singing most of the carols on the pageant and most of the carols in the evening, Lee and I went through the hymnal and wrote down every carol we don't sing. And we're not singing all of them because there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are pretty unsingable. But we are going to sing like 6 or 7 of them. So if you want to come to a service that's a little more relaxed, with a bunch of songs you probably haven't sung or miss, that's when you should come. I mean, come to the evening one too, but that's how we're doing it differently. Then on the 31st, Reverend Chris will lead us through a service recognizing and exploring Kwanzaa. I'd like for you to go back and picture those old New England churches. What is it about our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors who looked at that stark chancel, looked at that stark hole in their lives, looked at the stark environment outside, and decided there needed to be more love, more hope, and more light? What in your life is stark? What can this church and this holiday and your own spiritual work help you to bring more hope? Not to manufacture it, but to trust that newborn hope and newborn life is coming, even if it's likely there will be struggles ahead. Even if it's okay that, even if you know that everything isn't going to be okay, for you to know that it's still going to be well. What do you need to bring into your life so that you know that hope will run rampant, colorful, and free? Those early Unitarians knew the power of this holiday, and it has transformed this country for good and for bad. How will what you do to celebrate in these next few weeks transform you, transform this church, transform this city, and transform this world? Amen. Let's sing. I invite you to rise.
manger for his bed. So may we, when life turns hard, find the love, our stay and guard. Shepherds came to see this wonder and to kneel in holy awe at the lowly stable manger where the infant lay on straw. So may we this happy morn honor every child that's born. From afar, 3 magi journeyed to that stable rude and bare to pay homage to the infant, offering gifts rich and fair. So may we our gifts bestow, whether we be high or low. In that happy Christmas spirit, hear the angels from on high their ancient salutation. Joy's a gift you cannot buy. So may we, with heart that sings, share the truth this season brings.
And so, friends, as you go out into this day and into this season, the one thing that I would like you to know, to carry with you, know that you are loved for who you are, and know that this is a place where you can come just as you are and be welcomed in.
Yes.
Go in peace, go in love. Make the world a better place because you are here.